it's not considered a violation of the agreement, but rather an aggression, a preliminary aggression, because the agreement has nothing to do with these regions. And in any case, the responsibility is on the shoulders of the Lebanese state to follow up intensely and to call, to demand from the superpowers, the sponsors. We know that America, which manages the Israeli policies and which is involved in all of the Israeli acts of criminality and all of the aggression which took place in Lebanon, Palestine, and in the whole region. However, since there is an agreement and America considers itself to be a sponsor, let it commit and let there be pressures on it so that there is commitment. We, as Hezbollah and the Islamic resistance, we were patient over all this time because we want the state to take its complete opportunity in order to achieve a ceasefire and a commitment to the agreement. We know that Israel is violating and does not care. And this also leads to, or has a moral impact on our supporters and most of those people who expect for this agreement to be implemented. However, the state must take its responsibility. We, as a resistance, I say clearly, the resistance is a path and an option. We behave according to our assessment at the appropriate time. There is a counter-campaign against us as Hezbollah and the Amal movement and the resistance in general. This counter-campaign is sponsored by America and major powers and Israel, and along with that there are some elements, domestic elements, who promote the idea of a defeat. Why do you promote defeat? Our people realize very well that they achieved victory in certain aspects and lost and sacrificed in other aspects. We didn't speak about a full-fledged victory. We spoke about a victory which was linked to steadfastness, to survival and breaking the Israeli invasion and not ending the resistance. These dimensions, they are goals which we were able to achieve, and this is very important, and the victory. On the other hand, there are losses and sacrifices in other dimensions. We lost the Sayyid of the martyrs of the Ummah, Sayyid Hassan Nasrallah, may God have mercy on his soul, the martyr, the Hashemi, Sayyid Hashim Safiuddin, may God have mercy on his soul, a number of leaders, commanders, wounded, captives. There is also demolishing of homes, villages, farms. These are real losses which exist on the ground, on the battlefield. However, it's a battle. There are wins and there are losses. What concerns us very clearly is that our people feel dignified and feel that their dignity is continuing to be preserved, and they want to liberate the territory. Our resistance, its head is hung high. Hezbollah, the Amal movement, all the resistance fighters, all the people, all of these supporters who participate in this resistance. And we are witnessing legendary steadfastness, which was rarely seen in history from the Mujahideen, and real givings, real sacrifices. Here, we have to look very clearly at what happened on Sunday, the 26th of January, meaning the 60th day, whereby the agreement expired and which requires an Israeli withdrawal from South Lebanon. What happened on that day? The people of the villages, they went to the front lines, men, children, women. They were confronted by the Israeli tanks. and they opened fire against them from the air, also from the land. However, they did not move. They stayed on the battlefield. Martyrs fell, around 25 martyrs, and tens of wounded. And there are also people who were taken captive. But despite all that, they did not move 1 inch. What do you call this stance? This stance is popular liberation. It is a noble stance to retake the territory. It's a stance of those who insist on clinging to the land, whatever be the sacrifices. This is something great which we saw. It must be written, taken down in history. These people create the present, future, and they will draw the noble, honorable, nationalist, free, independent history. If we want to say who liberated Lebanon, we will say these people, along with their resistance and army. Who is it that stood against the Israelis and the Americans and all those in the world? They will see these people. Martyrs from amongst them fell, and they did not fear, and wounded, and they continued, and people taken captive, and they did not retreat, including men and women. I recall here the holy verse, and the believers, the men and women, both call for virtue and abstain from vice, and pray and pay the zakat, and are loyal to God and His Messenger. God will have mercy on them. God is all-wise. Here everyone is on the ground. Everyone is taking action. Thank God, the people side by side with the Lebanese army, with the resistance, with all of these sacrifices. Look at this man who carried the skull of his son from the Tahini family. When they asked him, "How do you feel?" he said, "I feel like Imam Hussein when he carried his baby in Karbala." They asked him, "Will you continue with your stance? Will you continue coming here?" Because his body, the body of his child, was with him. He said, "Yes, we'll continue. Me, my children, my grandchildren." This is an example. The lady, the sister from the Shahimi family, I remember that I visited their family because they have 2 martyrs in their family. When I visited them at their house, the children gathered together, the grandchildren, men, women. I said, very, very big number. And each and every one of you is an example. They told me, each one of us takes this stance from this imam. It's only natural for such a family to sacrifice this martyr from the Shahim family, the lady, the jihadi lady. I was not surprised, because if that's the family, the old, young grandchildren, it's only natural for this woman to sacrifice. I also noticed another example, a sister from Hula. Her brother was martyred, one of the first to be martyred in this most recent battle, the battle for popular liberation. They asked her, "What's your impression?" She said, "Thank God he got what he dreamed of." They said, "Wouldn't you have hoped that he wouldn't be killed here, maybe be martyred elsewhere or in a confrontation?" She said, "No. He did his duty, did his job at the right time, the right role. May God bless him. I'm proud of him, and I consider him to be a great example." This popular liberation complements the armed jihadi resistance and also is complemented with the army. This South witnessed and gave us a great image. This South is saying no way for Israel to stay. No way for Israel to stay occupying, and let everyone be aware that the sacrifices, whatever the sacrifices may be, they will lead in the end to the liberation of the territory and to Israel's withdrawal. They say, look at the numbers of martyrs and the blood and the destruction. I say to them, look at the steadfastness and liberation and the most honorable people and the protectors of the nation. On the other hand, America is making you follow it. These people, they take you to honor, heads hung high, liberation. They say, and of course, I'm noticing that there's a general approach. If you read the newspapers and the media outlets, you'll find there's an expression they always use. They always refer to Hezbollah, the resistance, the statements of the officials. They say that it's outside history. They say they still don't know what happened. They're starting to use this expression. They say that we are outside history, unrealistic. I say to you, we are people of principle and dignity. He or she who has a principle does not abandon these principles when they're wounded, when they're harmed. He or she who has a principle does not surrender when subject to pressures from the tyrants and from those people who want to spread corruption throughout the world. We are not tempted by following America or by being agents. We're not tempted to stay alive, to eat and drink, whilst they put pressure on us and everything, all the wealth we have. No, we're not tempted by this. We want dignity and honor, even if everyone is killed. You're killed, our people will become aware more and more. This is what Imam Khomeini, may God have mercy on his soul, said. They say, let's say something. Now there's a storm, bow down. No, this is not a storm. This is an option, a foreign option to become affiliated. Humiliation and to entrench Israel. If we don't stand against it now, when will we take a stance? If we don't put a stop to it now, we won't be able to put a stop to it later on. So this excessive criminality which they're using, it's in order to force us into submission. We will not be forced into submission. We will not surrender. The Islamic resistance will continue to exist. Hezbollah will continue to exist. The banner will continue to be raised. We will not change our approach and our convictions because they're based on righteousness. Why is it that we're resisting? Because our land is occupied. Why is it that we're confronting? Because we reject to be affiliated with any power. Why are we sacrificing? Because we want to transit or send to our generations an honorable nation. Why are we saying to Israel and America no? Why are we confronting with all of these sacrifices? Because they want to spread corruption throughout the world and to seize control of everything. In any case, some of them, after what they saw on Sunday, on the 26th of January, they concluded that the people entered into villages which Israel had already left. Now, I want to ask them, why is it that Israel bombed and killed if these villages had been liberated and they entered into liberated villages? Why did Israel kill? Why did it kill them? Later on, Israel left, and so why are we making these sacrifices? So did Israel give you its secret so you know that Israel is going to leave without confrontation? We saw what they did in Syria. We're also witnessing what it's doing in every place which it tries to occupy. And I also want to ask you, why do you justify for Israel? Be silent, that's better. You justify its aggression, you justify its killings, you justify it not withdrawing. What do you want us to say about you? What will the people say about you while you're spreading or speaking this Israeli narrative? At least, let's hear from you some criticism of the violations or a demand to affirm the ceasefire agreement, or appreciation for the martyrs of the nation and dignity and honor. Anyway, I won't say anything about you, but I hope you can listen to what the people are saying about you regarding these stances. The second point is related to the commemoration. He Almighty said in His holy book, there are believers who lived up to their pledge to God. Some of them have fallen and some await. Our martyr, our greatest martyr, the Sayyid of the martyrs of the Ummah, Sayyid Hassan Nasrallah, may God have mercy on his soul. He was martyred at a time where the circumstances were difficult and we did not have, or we were not able to do the duty, the commemoration, in order to mark this occasion in the way it deserves. This martyr, Sayyid Hassan Nasrallah, may God have mercy on his soul, he entered into the hearts of the Ummah, he entered the hearts of the world. This martyr was able to be an example and a symbol and a leader and to be loved and dedicated in the cause of God Almighty. This martyr is a real icon for the whole world and for all the free people and for all those who sacrifice. I think a person who cannot be compared to anyone. We decided, after the security circumstances, we decided that he'd be buried, the Sayyid of the martyrs of the Ummah. After he was buried, over all this time, we decided to choose the 23rd of February, Sunday, for the commemoration, a large mass commemoration, and at the same time there are figures in the country from abroad, parties, factions, officials. God willing, they will participate in this commemoration. We hope that it will be worthy of this great figure, and I think that it will indeed underscore the message of the Sayyid of the martyrs of the Ummah, and it will have a big impact at the same time. And during the same funeral procession, there will also be a funeral procession for the Sayyid, the Hashimi, Sayyid Hashim Safiuddin, may God have mercy on his soul, but as a Secretary General, because actually after the martyrdom of His Eminence the Sayyid on the 27th of September, 3 or 4 days passed, and according to the mechanism of Hezbollah, we had elected His Eminence Sayyid Hashim as Secretary General. And in 1 or 2 days, there was supposed to be an announcement. However, he was martyred on the 3rd of October, before the announcement, 1 or 2 days before. For us, we consider that His Eminence Sayyid Hashim Safiuddin was martyred as a Secretary General, and we decided to delay the announcement until this time, so that this description would also be used or applied in the procession. Sayyid Hashim was one who gave, a mujahid. He was a strong pillar of support for Sayyid Hassan, may peace be upon his soul. He always took an interest in the affairs of the people, and he focused uniquely on the mujahideen. So we will have funeral processions on the 23rd of February. One for the Sayyid of the martyrs of the Ummah, Sayyid Hassan Nasrallah, may God have mercy on his soul, and for the Secretary General, His Eminence Sayyid Hashim Safiuddin, may God have mercy on his soul. It'll be the same procession. However, the burial will be in two locations. The burial of His Eminence Sayyid Hassan will be on a piece of land which we chose between the two airport roads, the new one and the old one. Sayyid Hashim, his burial will be in his village, Deir Qanoun. In any case, all of the details of the funeral procession will be announced, God willing, by those who have been assigned to follow. We formed a committee, the higher committee, to follow up the Great Amati and the Hashimi Amati. This committee is putting together or making all the arrangements. We raised a slogan for the processions is that we continue on the path. We will continue to respond to the pledge. God willing, will continue to walk on the path of the Sayyid, the Mahdi, and the Hashimi Sayyid, and we will carry this banner until the very end, God willing, and until the consecutive victories are achieved. On this occasion, I'd like to make two observations. The first, some of them have gotten used to launching attacks on the occasions, either out of joy or out of animosity. For any reason, we call for not opening fire, not shooting, neither during or before or in other processions, nor at times of joy, nor any time. Opening fire is something which harms people. It's wrong. The person who opens fire, he takes responsibility because he is doing something which is bad, which is not consistent with ethics or humanity or norms. And how many times have we heard of people who have been harmed as a result of opening fire? Not to mention how it causes fear amongst the people. I call on you, all of you, just like the Sayyid of the Martyrs of the Ummah said, don't open fire on any occasion, even during the great funeral procession, because this is wrong and we don't believe in it. The second, there was an incident which took place a few days ago. Some motorcycles went to areas outside southern Beirut, saying that they were celebrating what happened in South Lebanon, the heroic confrontation during the popular liberation. This is something which we denounce. We do not approve of such celebrations in their way and in their essence and in the areas which they reached. This is something which does not serve national unity, nor does it serve Islamic unity, nor does it serve the resistance, nor does it serve the journey which we are pursuing, nor does it serve liberation. This is something which we denounce. We have nothing to do whatsoever with these people which went to areas outside southern Beirut. Even in southern Beirut, we call on you to put a stop to some of this behavior during the celebrations, which cause harm via some slogans and some behavior from some people, so that some people don't say you don't issue a statement. When the motorcycles went to the western areas or the eastern areas, it's true. However, we're against this completely. Even if some people raise the flags of the party, you know, there are people who raise our flags only to get us in trouble, get the Amal movement in trouble, and say that they gave us the directions. We are against this kind of expression of joy or expression of sorrow or any kind of expression. And of course, people who are doing this have nothing to do with us. We call on the security services, the judiciary, to take all necessary measures in order to stop and to punish people who open fire and also those who enter under areas in a way which provokes others. I pray to God Almighty to grant us success, and may peace be upon you all.